Welcome to the Sticky Trifle Podcast.
How civilised. Some folks still use a green cross code. Oh, sorry, something's going on. Hold on. Oh. Aye, okay, I can't fit a blank in this, but come on, I'm in the middle of doing a podcast. Huh? How rude. Anyway, this week we're on our way to Main Street here in Fraserburgh, and my guest, they're not actually Scottish. Well, not originally. Anyway, we're going to take a tour down to Main Street and meet our guest, whoever that is, you know. Do you get my drift? Do you get my drift here?
Welcome to Sticky Trifle Podcast. Sticky Trifle Podcast. Sticky Trifle Podcast.
And, welcome to Sticky Trifle Podcast number 58. And my guest is Seamus Logan.
Mm-hmm.
We've never met.
No.
Apart from a phone call.
That's right.
And we didn't actually meet the first time, which I'll mention later. Will you have a drink with me?
I will, thank you.
You will have a drink. You will have a drink. He's got a cup of coffee, but he might have a drink, or he might not.
Thank you.
Rio Light Tropical. I'm just going to taste this before I get going. Just see how it do. I've had a busy day, Seamus, so. It's alright. It's a tropical fruit juice.
Nice and cold.
Yep, it is. Perfect. Right, Seamus Logan. Now, as far as I can, you're a president of the Rotary Club.
That's great. Yeah.
Is that right?
Yep.
Okay. Now, I don't care a lot about a Rotary Club. So if it happens, how did you get involved in the first place?
Well, I was approached by a local man, a neighbour of mine, Bill Maitland, and Bill brought a couple of other Rotarians with him, and they invited me to take on the role of senior vice president, which if you take that on, then it means that in time you become the president.
And how long ago was this you first got involved?
A couple of years ago, so about 2 years ago. And I came to Braidsea 4 years ago, 2018. I got married to Anne Scott, who's from Braidsea originally,
right.
And she'd been away for many years. She's a journalist, and she came back here to basically look after her mum after we got married, and we got a house just across the road, and here I am. I've washed up here in Braidsea. I'm originally from North Antrim in Ireland.
Right, so how long have you been away from Ireland? Since 2018?
Since 2018, yes.
Let's go back to childhood days.
Yes.
Okay, so North Antrim. North Antrim. I've never heard of it, but I'll tell you where I've been. I've been at Killybegs.
Killybegs is County Donegal.
Yeah, you can hear stuff.
I do, I know it well, yeah.
And I was there when I left school, when my dad dragged me out fishing.
Aye.
And we was over there a couple of times, but I had a wonderful weekend on Killybegs. I mind thinking, wow, this is so different, and everybody was so friendly.
Yeah.
So how was childhood growing up? Did you enjoy it?
It's funny, we grew up on a farm, so we had like acres and acres of playground.
Right, so was your dad a farmer? Or?
He was a farmer for a while, but to be fair to my father, he wasn't really cut out to be a farmer. It was left to him by his father, who had built the house and acquired the land back in the 20s. And
what happened to this farm by as time went on?
As time went on, he decided to sell it and get out of farming. So he worked at lots of different things. He was a barman, he ran an off license, he worked in hotels, and then eventually he got an opportunity to bring school meals to local primary schools, and then he got an opportunity to transport the children. So he started his own little bus business back in the mid-70s. And to cut long story short, my older brother, took over from my father, and he's turned that little business into probably one of the biggest private coach operating firms in
So,
Ireland.
your brother's now doing the buses that
Yes.
your dad started.
Yes, that's right. My father's passed on now, but
Okay.
my brother took over,
Uh-huh.
and he's turned it into something really,
And so-
really big.
It was no interest to you.
No, because I had come over here to Scotland actually to get an education, and then went back to Ireland, did a qualification, and worked in health and social services all my life. So no, and my father actually said to us, "Don't be coming back here to drive buses. Get out and make
Right.
your own way in life."
And so, if farming side and that, was there a slight interest with doing the farming side when you was younger, or
Not
no?
really, no.
No.
No. I mean, I was blessed. My mother, God rest her, she had brains. She was a nurse, and I think my mother and father wanted the best for us in educational terms.
Yep.
And invested a lot of time and money in that. So no, farming wasn't going to be for me. My father's holding was a small holding. It was only about 25 acres, which is nothing, especially compared to Aberdeenshire farms. So no, there was never going to be a future in farming for me. No.
So you leave school at 16.
No. I left school at 18 and
18?
went to college for 6 years.
And so, did you do? Was it like, for kind of?
I
you
did
said
a-
it was social.
I did a degree in Scotland and then another degree in Belfast, and then I worked as a mental health social worker for some years, and then I basically worked my way up until eventually when I retired in 2013 I was the program director for basically all community care services, mental health, learning disability, older people and children's for the whole of Northern Ireland.
And so you like studying. You're academic, possibly, are you?
I would say academic rather than I like studying because
Alright.
I always found exams and studying difficult, but I was prepared to put in the graft, and it always pays off when you put
Because
in the
I
graft.
don't care about you, Seamus, but my mind wanders. Sometimes when I'm studying, just think, why am I doing this?
And that'll get worse as you get older, Earl.
Yep, okay. Because now I just like quick. We're addicted to the phone nowadays.
Exactly.
We'll check a quick. If a
Exactly.
video's now coming within the first 10 seconds, you're like, oh, move on.
Yeah.
But so your days of studying and
That's all over now. Yeah.
That's going now.
I think so.
Yeah,
I had a great gift. I had the ability to take a fairly big document or even a book and get straight to the bit that really mattered and read that and remember that. And I think that it's just a gift.
so you've a good memory and
I wouldn't say I have a great memory, but I have a memory for certain things, and I can cram. You know what I mean by cramming? You know, studying hard on a particular thing
Yep.
close to the exam time. Or if you were preparing for a meeting, a big meeting, you could get all the documents and give them a good quick read and digest the important stuff and then recall it the next day or the next week or whatever, yeah.
And so the mental health side of things, are you still involved slightly in that things? Or
Not really, no. I mean, when I was a student, I was involved in a counselling service for the students at the university. There was a lot of problems. We had a lot of suicides, and that was when I first began to realise that this was an area that really interested me. And then later on, when I got the opportunity to do a degree in social work, I did that, and I really was attracted to the field of mental health. Do you know what really inspired me? It was a film based on a book by a guy called Ken Casey. One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
I've heard that film, Jack Nicholson.
Exactly.
Yep,
So,
okay.
but the book's even better. But that was an inspirational film, and you'll find that a lot of people in that era who became interested in working in the mental health field will mention that film.
It's an iconic cover on it for that video now with Jack Nicholson poking through a door.
And it's still a great movie. You know, I could recommend that to anybody who watches your podcasts or does a bit of reading. One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
And so, why do you think mental health has become such a big issue nowadays, Seamus?
Well, it's always been a big issue, but the difficulty I think in the past was that there was a lot of stigma attached to it.
Like people didn't talk in the past.
Exactly, and also the way that we cared for people in the past, we locked them up in hospitals for long periods of time. When I started working, we had a large hospital in Belfast with 1,000 beds, and so the norm was that you were admitted to hospital, and that's where you were cared for. By the time I left, and I was very proud of the fact that I was instrumental in helping to bring this new model of care in. It was called, treatment at home treatment. That's what we called it.
Right, okay.
And so the idea was that even for the most serious of mental health problems, you could still be treated at home in the context of your family, where a lot of the most difficult problems were well understood. Now, that's not for every single person. Occasionally people will still have to go into hospital, but the model of care has completely changed now. It's home treatment, and that has helped. It's not the only thing, but it has helped to remove some of the stigma associated with mental health problems.
So, listen, if I'm struggling in future, will I just come round here and you'll do treatment at home here?
I'm retired now, Earl.
I'm joking, I'm only joking. No, so how long have you been retired?
Since 2013, I was 55 when I retired.
Why so early?
Well, because the folk who worked in that field got special terms and conditions. It's very difficult work. It is very stressful, and it can lead to burnout.
Was you burned out before you retired?
I wasn't. No, I have great respect for people who work at the coal face. I was very lucky in that I went into management and got promoted. But yes, if you're working in the coal face in fields like learning disability, autism, mental health problems, it's extremely stressful. And so we had special pension conditions which allowed us to retire at the age of 55.
Now, back in Ireland now, I presume, or I'm presuming you was married before the wife you're with now?
Yes, I was married before, yes.
How did that end, if ever, or was it bad circumstances?
Well, it's best maybe that I don't go into too much detail, but we had 2 daughters, and we separated, and after a couple of years the girls came to live with me, and sadly their mother passed on earlier this year, which has been a great blow to them.
Which is pretty difficult for
It's very difficult for them. Less so for me, I guess, because we've been separated since 2009. But she was their mother, and she always, always will be their mother, and so that's been a great tragedy for them. Yeah.
And it's great you mention this, because it shows that life is pretty short for some people, isn't it?
There's no question about that.
Do you still hear regrets about, obviously she's passed away now, but is there regrets here about things you maybe could have said before, or was it very quick?
I think anybody who's experienced the breakup of a marriage has regrets, of course, things that you wish had turned out differently. But sometimes things happen for the best, and I'm sorry that she's passed on. That's a tragedy, and I'm sorry for my daughters. But do I regret that I decided to move on? No, I don't.
But it's one of those situations in life, that sometimes people do change and they need to move on, do they? And sometimes move on to somebody else eventually, or whether it's love or whatever.
Yes.
But so the wife you're with now, and you met her when you came out of Scotland?
No,
you didn't?
No, there's a story there. My brother's friend was getting married in 2003, and I played a squeeze box, and he plays the guitar. And
accordion?
Yes.
You actually play accordion?
Yes, I do. And so my brother invited me to come to the wedding, which I did, and he and his wife were organising the seating arrangements, and their friend was Anne. And so they put Anne on this side, me on that side, because I was there on my own. My wife wasn't able to come, and so they thought we would be good crack with each other. And so we spent the day at the meal, and later on in the evening at the dance. Now, there was nothing untoward between Anne and I that day, but she stuck in my memory. And in 2014 I was separated, divorced, and I was working then as a coach, driver and tour guide. And I was in Glasgow, and I remembered Anne, and I thought, I wonder is Anne still about and what's she doing with herself? And I got my sister-in-law to give me her telephone number, rang her up, we met for a drink, and the rest is history, Earl. So.
How easy? That was easy.
Well, it was. And if
so what, did you not say anything the first night you met her? No, you didn't think about getting her number the first night you met her?
No, I was married. I wouldn't say I was happily married,
right,
but I was married, and I was being faithful.
Right, okay,
and, I wasn't going to, even though, Anne was an attractive woman, and she was great company. But when you're married and you're being faithful, you don't act on every instinct. So
you got married just before lockdown?
2018, that's 2 years before lockdown,
Okay. And in lockdown, How did you find lockdown, by the way?
Very difficult, because I was still working as a tour guide at that time.
And that stopped. The touring stopped, did it?
Yeah, there's no tourists.
When you're saying tour guide, far was you doing a tour in?
All around Scotland and Ireland, sometimes England, but mostly Scotland and Ireland.
So you would just have to tick off certain weeks to different places?
Yeah, tours were typically 8 days, 12 days, whatever. You tour up the west coast, across to Orkney, down the east coast.
And so do you miss that?
I do miss that. I mean, things have changed for me. I was elected as a councillor in May, so I've had to give up that whole life as a tour director to give it its proper time.
So you'll never be back doing tour guides
I
ever?
don't believe so.
Even Fraserburgh?
Well, you never say never about anything, Errol. So let's put it like this: it's there. The company I work for have said to me, if I ever want to go back, there'll be an open door for me. So yeah, it's a possibility, but I doubt it.
Okay.
Because I'm 64 now, and you know, a couple of years I'll be getting my old money pension.
And you've got a dog.
We've got a dog, Lola. Yes, yes.
What kind of dog is it?
She's a cockapoo.
Cockapoo.
Yeah.
And it looks about 3 or 4, by the way. But
she's not. She's not even a year yet. She's 10 months.
Well, very nice dog. It welcomed me as you came in the door.
Lola's a lovely dog.
The other thing I was going to mention now was the fact, are you part of Fraserburgh community council?
I used to be the vice chair of the community council, but I've had to give that up now with the council and the councillor role with Aberdeenshire Council.
And what happened in that Fraserburgh Community Council? Was you all looking for a way to promote things?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's a way for local people to get involved in decisions about the town and help to contribute to betterment in the town. We have little groups within the community council, like the flower fairies, who you might see they're planters around the town centre, Sultan Square there.
Okay, got you.
And you might also know about litter picking that goes around the town.
And down the beach and stuff, is it? Or just around the town?
No, just all around the town.
Okay.
One of the members of the community council, Helena Gilbert's very involved in that. And but as a councillor, you can't be a member of the community council. You can attend the meetings and you're made very welcome, but you can't be on the community council. That's a different thing. But anyway, Earl, we came to talk about Rotary, did we not?
You're right. You're exactly. So let's get to Rotary Club. So yes. You've got a T-shirt.
I've got my T-shirt on. Can you see?
So yes. Rotary Club. The only thing I can about it, my uncle used to be part of it, and George Minty, he used to stay up in Keith. He's passed away due to cancer. But what I notice is, if I'm going about, you always see donated by, it's seats.
Aye.
That's the main thing for me. I always say donated by the Rotary Club. And I've always, you're the first person I've talked to about this. So, a Rotary Club, right, so how much people is there in...
Right, well, let's give you a wee bit of context first of all.
Aye.
Rotary is a world organisation. You'll find Rotary clubs all over the world.
Okay.
Probably their most famous achievement is that they led the campaign to basically get rid of polio. So polio has been eradicated, as you probably know, in the world, around the world. Polio cases are exceptionally rare, and so we can say that it's eradicated. Polio was a terrible scourge in previous generations, an awful illness, awful disease. But Rotary, through their charitable efforts, have helped to eradicate polio around the world, and that's a fantastic achievement.
And so that was the main starting for a Rotary?
No, it wasn't. No. That's just, I would say, their most magnificent achievement as an organisation. But what is Rotary? Rotary is it's about fellowship. It's just a club, and it's about fellowship. It's about meeting other people. It's about engaging with them socially. It's not an exclusive club for wealthy people, which sometimes folks see it as.
Right, because to me I was thinking, is this like a secret club? Is there only certain people get in the door?
No, absolutely not. And the rules about membership probably, I would say now, are more relaxed than they might have been in the past. And that's because Rotary is becoming a lot more inclusive than it used to be.
So far does this Rotary Club happen for you?
For us here in Fraserburgh, it meets every Tuesday in Finley's restaurant. Every Tuesday at 6 o'clock.
And how much members is in this?
At the minute we have 27 members, I believe, or 25 members.
Some folk here commitments, I presume, nobody comes to each meeting?
We try to hold the meetings, the meals at 6, and then the business can be at 6 or at 6:30. Just depends on how much business we have to conduct. So 6:30 most folk can try and get there for that time.
And so the meetings in our Seamus, you'll hear the meetings. What kind of things you're speaking about? Is it the same kind of...
Well, I mentioned about fellowship. I mean, so we're meeting each other and having a bit of crack, as they say in Ireland. But we're also looking at requests for support. So it may be that a local charitable organisation like Charlie's House, which is, I think, is one of the children's hospices here in Aberdeenshire. They might ask us for financial support. If we're able to do that, well and good. We also try to support local people. So just as an example, we had a young surfer here in the town who couldn't qualify for any grant support from any other quarter, and so the Rotary Club have helped her to compete in various championships, and she went to Portugal earlier this year and did very well.
And what's her name?
You've got me on the spot.
It's all right.
It's probably best from a data protection point of view that I don't mention her name.
Doesn't matter anyway. Well, it does matter to me, but
well, I'll give you that name in due course. But,
so it's always things you'll come across that you think, let's see if we can help, kind of support us or some kind of course and things.
And we'll entertain all kinds of requests, but ultimately, of course, haven't got a bottomless pit. So we will try and organise sporting events or other activities to try and raise money.
How hard is that in that to come up with us events? Because like see in lockdown, I presume there wasn't much happening.
The Rotary was basically meeting online all during lockdown. It is hard to get active members, yes, but when you do have active members and you see them doing the things that they do, it is absolutely amazing how charitable people in Fraserburgh are. It's incredible. On Saturday past, we were collecting food donations at Tesco's for a body called the Trussell Trust.
The Trussell
Trust. It's basically a food bank. It's a national food bank all around Scotland, England, and so forth. And you wouldn't believe the generosity of people in Fraserburgh, just giving you, in one case, an entire shopping trolley full of food. That's just an example. There's another event, one of our members organises a golf competition. The support that he gets from local businesses in terms of vouchers for their business, which he then can use to either in an auction or to give us prizes for his golf competition. But we also run other sporting things on a social basis, like petanque. Have you ever heard of petanque?
No, never heard of it.
Petanque is like a bit like bowls, a bit like curling, but except it's not called a rink. It's called a piste, I think, to give it its proper name. And you're throwing balls into a sand pit, basically. So it's a friendly competition for people of all ages. During the winter, Rotary have a curling competition.
And it's here in Fraserburgh, or is it?
No, it's in Aberdeen.
Right,
we don't have a rink here in Fraserburgh, but hey, that'll be another story for later.
Right. In fact, about your sailing now, because hobbies and pastimes for yourself, is that
I play golf. It's been a hobby of mine all my life.
You're quite good at golf?
Not really, but
you just like getting out on the course and a nice morning.
Exactly, and a good day. There's nothing more enjoyable than a game of golf. Because you're playing with other people, you're chatting, you're having a bit of a laugh, you're telling jokes.
I tried it a few years back with my work colleagues, and I kept hitting the grass. I thought I was going to be good at it. I kept hitting the grass. So I've no idea how
you didn't keep it up, you didn't persevere.
I'm a bit scared about the grass.
Go back to it, Earl.
Maybe So, like golf is one of your main kind of interests.
Cycling, I like to cycle as well.
And are we speaking road bikes or just
road bikes? I wouldn't say I'm a long distance cyclist. I used to be years ago, but not anymore. But I do like to get around Fraserburgh on the bike. For example, from here to the golf club's 3.5 kilometres. So that's a round trip of 7 kilometres. So that's not a bad run for.
So that's a couple of things. It's outdoors and and you get a good weather for it.
Yeah, exactly.
It's very enjoyable.
Exactly.
Future, so you're going to keep on doing a Rotary Club, being a president.
Well, I'm president for this year.
Oh, so is it only for 1 year?
Well, you might be asked to stay longer. I don't know, to be perfectly honest with you. We'll see how it goes. But I do have a senior vice president and a junior vice president, and they will take on the reins in due course.
And let's just say there might be somebody watching us and they're going, I'm quite interested in this Rotary Club.
Right.
Are they welcome to come in?
Absolutely.
And that's you're saying Finlay's restaurant then?
Just don't arrive at Finlay's restaurant on Tuesday night. Make contact with me or one of somebody else in the Rotary Club. Our secretary is a guy called Bob Watt.
Right,
Our immediate past president is a guy called John Buchan. Our senior vice president is Anne Bell, and our junior vice president is Don Duncan.
Okay.
I think you know Don, don't you?
Yes, I do.
Aye,
I do.
aye.
It was how I got my in contact with you, by the way. So if you're listening, Don, we're here.
So can't speak to any of those people about Rotary. They'll give you a much better explanation than I can. But it's about fellowship. It's about doing good things. Their motto is service above self. That's the core of Rotary. Service above self. So it's not about you. It's about what you can do for somebody else.
I like the way you seem to have a real grasp about when we're speaking about the little things. You seem to have really a lot of knowledge.
Not really.
I think you do. I think you do.
Don't judge a book by its cover, Errol. I'm sure
And I was going to ask before we finish here on the podcast. The other thing I was going to mention was back in Ireland. Obviously, music is a big part of their culture.
Yes, of course.
Is there any Irish music you would still have a tendency to listen to because you play the accordion?
Oh, very much so. I loved playing folk and traditional music. That was my thing when I was a champion accordion player when I was a young boy. You know.
So who got you into playing accordion?
My father.
So he used to play it?
No, he didn't.
No.
But he just had a notion that, I mean, the rest of my brothers and my sister all got piano lessons, but he had a notion that at least one of us would try the accordion. Don't ask me why.
And so you got a grasp.
He bought an accordion for me,
and they're expensive.
They are. You're absolutely right. And
like £1,000 onwards, isn't
well,
right?
At that time I don't know how much it would have been, some hundreds of pounds, which was a lot of money to a farmer who had no dosh. So I showed a bit of interest in it and a bit of aptitude for it, and he goes, as you're getting bigger, you got to get a bigger accordion. And he was having to dip it in his pocket every time. But God bless him, he did that.
And so on Ireland, was you actually playing for gigs or there?
Yeah, I played in a couple of different bands, and I was very lucky. We toured America. We played at the Queen's Festival in Belfast. We were recorded live on Radio Ulster for that one. That was a very memorable night. But you know, that investment my father made on the accordion, it opened so many doors for me throughout my life. It was the greatest thing. Now, it's not an easy instrument to carry about.
It's very cumbersome.
It's heavy and it's cumbersome, but the ability is very easy carried. And the knowledge, and I was blessed with a good ear. I have a good ear for music, so I could hear a tune. And they discovered this, you might remember, no, you're too young, Sandy Shaw.
I know her name, but
in the 60s, she had a song called Puppet on a String.
I can't
and it won the Eurovision Song Contest, right? So I heard this, I must have only been 8, and started playing it on the accordion. I didn't have any music, but I had the ear, you see. So they realised, oh, this guy's got a wee bit of something there, you know, so it's worth spending a few bob on him, you know.
So does the accordion ever come out at New Year's time?
The last time it came out actually was for a Burns night with the Rotary Club online. Can you imagine a Burns night online?
Is there any videos of us? I'd love to see it.
There might be videos of, not of the Burns night, thank God.
Right.
So
you're making me intrigued. I'd love to see you playing this accordion. But so music-wise, you're a big fan of the Irish music. Is it folk music we're saying, really?
Folk and traditional music. I love bands like the Dannon, Planksty, you know, bands like that who play jigs, reels, songs, plenty of, you know, Irish songs. You know what they say about the Irish, Earl?
No.
All our songs are sad and all our wars are merry.
Right, I didn't actually care that. Right, so Rotary Club, if anybody's interested, they can contact you.
Contact me or any of the other folk that I mentioned, Don Duncan, for example, up in is it Rosehearty or Sandhaven?
Yep.
Rosehearty. Yeah, Rosehearty. And any of the others, just contact us. We'll explain a bit more about it, and then it would be up to us to bring that person to a meeting and introduce them. But believe me, it's all very informal, it's very welcoming, and we particularly like to hear from younger people, because a lot
is there quite a few younger people in it?
Well, you know, Dawn's a young person, but we need younger people to try and, you know, take on more of the activities from the older generation who are maybe, they've served in Rotary 20 years more. And they've kind of done their bit, and we need new blood to come in and help.
Because as an example, Seamus, like my Uncle George, when he was part of Rotary Club when I was younger, we used to go up to events, and it was outdoors, like maybe turf show and things like that.
Aye.
And they'd hear the Rotary Club. But I always thought it back then, I was maybe 10 or 11, always thought it was like a secret older men's club.
Like the Masons.
Because nobody ever explained what a Rotary Club was.
Yeah. I think in the past it might have been more exclusive for folk, professional folk maybe, teachers, lawyers, doctors, people who had their own businesses. Yep. So there might still be a little bit of that hangover, but not today. No, Rotary. If Rotary's going to survive, it's going to have to broaden its appeal. It's going to have to open the doors and bring in more people, and that's what we're trying to do. And
everything evolves. It's part of the process, isn't it, in life? Or you've got to change with your times. And
exactly.
So that's what Rotary clubs do.
Well, we hope so.
Yep. Right. Thank you for coming on. Now, I just want to mention briefly before we go. We just about never met actually, because as you can, I phoned you. I came doing for a podcast, and you wasn't here, and I thought that's strange.
Let me explain.
But, you actually lost your nephew.
That had happened on last Thursday, but was it Sunday we were supposed to meet last?
Yep.
Aye, Sunday the Fraserburgh Junior Arts Society were having a jazz thing. And I promised Anne I would take Margaret, her mother, to this jazz event.
You had a lot going on.
Margaret's 88, so we're up there, and I suddenly thought, oh my God, I was supposed to meet Earl. Picked up the phone. The phone had been on silent, and it was an hour before I saw your text. But anyway, I've grovelled enough about that with you, Earl. We're here now, and that's the main thing.
I was fine with Only Why. That's a thing. I notice everybody's lives is so busy nowadays that there's sometimes not even time to do things like that. So I appreciate it.
And then stuff happens, like my nephew dying very suddenly last Thursday. It's a terrible tragedy. Yeah.
And so, is it like? Was the circumstances quite strange? How?
Don't know really what has happened here. Nick was diabetic, type 1 diabetes, and so it's almost certain that there's been a complication.
To do with the health.
Yes.
Very sad to hear anyway. But on the plus side, I'm really happy we've met each other.
Yes.
Because it could have been a no show for both of us.
Yes.
And I love creating us moments when sometimes you get negatives in life.
Yes.
And I love making positives.
Yes.
I always like to turn things around. So thank you very much for being on.
My pleasure.
Seamus Logan. And next week we'll see you in number 59. And I guess that's it. Is it? Give me a phrase for Irish. Is there any phrases you can give us for anybody listening?
Well, Céad Míle Fáilte. I think that's in Gaelic as well. It means 100,000 welcomes.
100,000 welcomes. Yes. Right, thank you very much. See you next week. Bye. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Sticky Trifle Podcast.
I really do love that moments when I get invited to somebody's house or a garden. There's something so rewarding and relaxing about it. And Seamus, I've never got to see you play a squeeze box. It's the only thing I'd like to see.
Sticky Trifle Podcast will return next week.
And I don't usually say this often, but next week is something very close to my heart and something that can affect each and every one of us. Until then, enjoy the view. See you next Sunday. Bye.
Sticky Trifle Podcast.